From holding hands in a mall with a married NBA star.
I Googled them when I first met him and I was like, oh, well, she, whatever. Like, they weren't together. Like, they had issues before us. That had nothing to do with me.
To saying she was seeing someone before Khloe even knew he existed.
I kind of was seeing Tristan before Khloe or any of them even knew he existed. I was seeing him.
Larsa Pippen's track record with basketball players is wild. Whether it was a birthday party, a viral photo, or a courtside moment, each one brought new drama. In this video, we will be talking about the time she got caught up with NBA players and how it all played out. Scotty Pippen. The story of Larsa Pippen's romantic entanglements with NBA players begins not with scandal or controversy, but with what appeared to be a fairy tale love story that would span more than 2 decades. When Larsa Pippen first encountered Scotty Pippen in 1995, she was stepping into a world that would define not just her romantic life, but her entire public identity. Scotty Pippen was at the peak of his legendary career with the Chicago Bulls, having already secured multiple NBA championships as Michael Jordan's most trusted teammate. The timing of their meeting was serendipitous. Larsa was a young woman with aspirations beyond the traditional role of an athlete's wife, while Scotty was cementing his legacy as one of basketball's greatest players. Their courtship unfolded against the backdrop of Chicago's basketball dynasty. They began dating in 1995 and married in 1997 at the First United Methodist Temple in Chicago, a ceremony that marked not just the union of 2 individuals, but the creation of a power couple that would dominate social circles for years to come. What made their relationship particularly fascinating was how Larsa navigated the complex world of being married to a sports icon. Unlike many athletes' wives who remained in the shadows, Larsa carved out her own identity, eventually becoming a prominent figure on reality television through her appearances on The Real Housewives of Miami. This platform allowed the public to witness their relationship dynamics firsthand, providing an unprecedented glimpse into the private life of an NBA family. The couple welcomed 4 children together, Scotty Jr., Preston, Justin, and Sophia, each birth further cementing their status as basketball royalty. Their family became a fixture at NBA events, with Larsa often photographed courtside, her fashion choices and demeanor analyzed by fans and media alike. However, the fairy tale began showing cracks as early as 2016. Scotty filed for divorce, citing the standard irreconcilable differences. But what followed was a pattern of separations and reconciliations that would play out in the public eye for years. This wasn't a clean break. It was a messy, complicated dissolution of a relationship that had been built under intense scrutiny. The couple attempted reconciliation in 2017, briefly rekindling hope among fans who had followed their journey for decades. But the underlying issues that had caused their initial split remained unresolved. Larsa filed for divorce again in 2018, and this time, the separation would prove permanent. The divorce was finally finalized in December 2021, officially ending a chapter that had defined Larsa's adult life. But the impact of this relationship extended far beyond the legal paperwork. It had established her as a fixture in basketball circles, provided her with financial independence, and most importantly, created the network of connections that would lead to her subsequent relationships with NBA players. The end of their marriage also marked the beginning of intense public scrutiny of Larsa's dating life. After 2 decades as Scottie Pippen's wife, Larsa's romantic life took a dramatic turn during their first separation, leading to a brief but headline-making relationship with rising star Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson. The story of Larsa Pippen and Tristan Thompson represents one of the most intriguing what-if scenarios in celebrity dating history. Their brief romantic involvement in 2016 would later become the foundation for one of the most explosive celebrity feuds of the decade, involving the Kardashian family and leading to lasting consequences that none of the participants could have anticipated. The relationship occurred during Larsa's first separation from Scottie Pippen in 2016, a period when she was exploring life as a single woman for the first time in over 2 decades. Thompson, then an emerging star with the Cleveland Cavaliers, was still establishing himself in the league and building his reputation both on and off the court. What makes this relationship particularly fascinating is the casual nature of how it began and the dramatic implications it would later have. At the time, Larsa had stated that she introduced Thompson to the Kardashian family, a gesture that seemed innocent enough but would ultimately lead to one of the most complicated love triangles in recent celebrity history.
I kind of was seeing Tristan before Khloe or any of them even knew he existed. I was seeing him.
The timeline of events reveals the complexity of the situation. Larsa and Thompson's romantic involvement was brief but significant enough that she felt comfortable introducing him to her high-profile friends. However, within approximately 10 days of this introduction, Thompson began his relationship with Khloe Kardashian, a transition that Larsa claims to have accepted with remarkable grace.
And then a week later, maybe 10 days later, he started seeing Khloe, which is fine. I don't even care.
What's particularly striking about Larsa's account of this relationship is her philosophical approach to its end. Rather than expressing bitterness or jealousy. She consistently maintained that if someone chose to be with another person, she would gracefully step aside. This attitude would become a recurring theme in her approach to relationships throughout her dating journey. The Thompson situation also highlights an important aspect of Larsa's personality and her approach to relationships within the interconnected world of celebrities and athletes. Her willingness to introduce a romantic interest to her social circle demonstrates either remarkable confidence or a certain naivety about the potential complications such introductions could create. The aftermath of this relationship would prove far more significant than the relationship itself. Thompson's subsequent relationship with Khloe Kardashian would be marked by multiple cheating scandals and public breakups, creating a complex web of loyalties and betrayals that would eventually contribute to Larsa's falling out with the Kardashian family.
I love them together. I feel like they have a beautiful baby together and they need to work it out. And, if they love each other, then God bless, I think when you have a family with someone, it's really hard to break up.
Years later, when Larsa's relationship with the Kardashians deteriorated, the Thompson connection would resurface as a point of contention. Some speculated that underlying tensions from this romantic triangle had contributed to the friendship's demise, though Larsa consistently maintained her support for Thompson and Khloe's relationship, even encouraging them to work through their difficulties for the sake of their family. The Tristan Thompson chapter in Larsa's romantic history serves as a crucial bridge between her life as Scotty Pippen's wife and her emergence as an independent figure in the celebrity dating world. It demonstrated her ability to move within elite social circles while maintaining her dignity when relationships didn't work out as planned. This relationship also established a pattern that would become characteristic of Larsa's post-divorce dating life: brief but intense connections with NBA players that would invariably become public knowledge and subject to intense scrutiny. That brief connection with Tristan didn't just end quietly, it opened the door to tension, tabloid buzz, and a fallout with one of the most powerful families in entertainment. But it wouldn't be the last time Larsa stirred headlines with an NBA name: Eric Morland. The year 2019 marked a significant period in Larsa Pippen's romantic journey as she continued to navigate life as a newly single woman while establishing her independence from her identity as Scottie Pippen's wife. It was during this transformative time that she became romantically involved with Eric Morland, a former NBA player whose connection to Larsa would become public during one of the most important celebrations of her year. Eric Morland, who had played for the Detroit Pistons among other teams, represented a different type of NBA connection for Larsa. Unlike her previous relationships with active superstar players, Morland was a journeyman player who had experience across multiple teams but wasn't among the league's most recognizable faces. This relationship shows that Larsa's attraction to basketball players wasn't solely based on fame or status, but reflected a genuine affinity for the basketball world. The most significant public moment of their relationship occurred during Larsa's 45th birthday celebration, an event that became a milestone not just in her personal life, but in her evolution as a public figure. Birthday celebrations for celebrities often serve as statements about their current relationships and social standing, and Larsa's choice to celebrate this particular milestone with Morland sent a clear message about their romantic involvement. The birthday celebration represented more than just a party. It was a declaration of Larsa's new life phase. At 45, she was embracing her independence while simultaneously demonstrating that her romantic interests remained firmly connected to the basketball world. The presence of Morland at this significant personal celebration indicated that their relationship had progressed beyond casual dating to something more substantial. What made this relationship particularly interesting from a public perspective was its relatively low-key nature compared to Larsa's other romantic entanglements. While the media took note of their connection, particularly during the birthday celebration, the relationship didn't generate the same level of controversy or intense scrutiny that would characterize her later romantic choices. The Morland relationship also highlighted an important aspect of Larsa's post-divorce dating strategy. Rather than seeking out the most high-profile athletes available, she appeared to be making choices based on personal compatibility and genuine connection. Morland, while accomplished in his NBA career, wasn't a household name, suggesting that Larsa was prioritizing chemistry over celebrity status. The timing of this relationship is also significant when viewed in the broader context of Larsa's romantic timeline. Coming after her separation from Scotty and her brief involvement with Tristan Thompson, the Morland relationship represented a period of relative stability in her dating life. It demonstrated her ability to form connections within the basketball community without the dramatic complications that had characterized some of her other relationships. However, like many of Larsa's romantic connections during this period, the relationship with Morland proved to be relatively brief. While the exact timeline of their involvement isn't extensively documented, it's clear that by 2020, Larsa had moved on to other romantic interests. This pattern of relatively short-term relationships would become characteristic of her post-divorce dating life. After a relatively low-key relationship with Eric Morland that marked a quieter chapter in her romantic life, Larsa's dating story took a sharp turn with the highly publicized and controversial relationship with Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley. The relationship between Larsa Pippen and Malik Beasley represents perhaps the most controversial and publicly scrutinized chapter in her post-divorce romantic history. What began as a connection between two individuals navigating their relationship challenges quickly evolved into a media firestorm that would test Larsa's resilience and fundamentally change how the public perceived her romantic choices. The relationship officially began in November 2020, during a period when both Larsa and Beasley were dealing with complex personal situations. Beasley, then playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves, was amid marital difficulties with his wife, Montana Yao, while Larsa was continuing to establish her independent identity following her separation from Scotty Pippen. The moment that thrust their relationship into the public spotlight occurred when paparazzi captured them holding hands in Miami in November 2020. This seemingly innocent gesture of affection became one of the most analyzed celebrity photographs of the year, not because of the action itself, but because of the complicated circumstances surrounding both individuals involved. What made this particular catch so explosive was the timing and context. Beasley was still legally married to Montana Yao, and the couple had a young child together. The photographs of him holding hands with Larsa came as a complete surprise to Yao, who reportedly learned about her husband's new relationship through the media coverage rather than from Beasley himself. The public reaction was swift and largely negative. Social media erupted with criticism directed primarily at Larsa, with many users accusing her of deliberately pursuing a married man and destroying a family. However, she denied all that and said Malik and Montana were not together when she dated Malik.
I Googled them when I first met him and I was like, oh, well, she, like, whatever. Like, they weren't together. Like, they had issues before us. That had nothing to do with me.
The narrative quickly evolved from a simple celebrity dating story to a complex discussion about morality, marriage, and the responsibility of parties involved in extramarital relationships. However, Larsa's perspective on the situation reveals the complexity that often exists behind simplified media narratives. In her defense, she maintained that Beasley had represented his marriage as effectively over, with divorce proceedings already in motion. This claim highlights the gray areas that exist in modern relationships, where legal status doesn't always reflect emotional reality.
Holding hands in the mall.
Uh-huh.
You get spotted, it hits the Daily Mail, the whole world now knows you're dating Malik Beasley.
The relationship also demonstrated Larsa's willingness to weather public criticism for romantic choices she believed were justified. Rather than immediately ending the relationship when controversy erupted, she chose to continue dating Beasley, showing either strong feelings for him or a determination not to be swayed by public opinion. The Beasley relationship also highlighted the challenges of dating in the public eye, particularly for someone with Larsa's high profile. Every aspect of their connection was dissected by media outlets and social media users, from their choice of restaurants to their body language in photographs. This level of scrutiny would have been challenging for any couple, but it was particularly intense given the controversial circumstances of their relationship's beginning. The relationship lasted from November 2020 to April 2021, a relatively brief period that nonetheless had a lasting impact on both individuals involved. For Beasley, the relationship contributed to the end of his marriage and created ongoing complications in his personal life. For Larsa, it established her as a controversial figure whose romantic choices would always be subject to intense scrutiny. With Malik Beasley, everything exploded again. Paparazzi pics, public backlash, and a timeline that raised more questions than answers. Still, it wouldn't be her most eyebrow-raising pairing. Marcus Jordan. Perhaps no relationship in Larsa Pippen's romantic history has been more symbolically loaded or fraught with historical significance than her nearly 2-year involvement with Marcus Jordan, the son of NBA legend Michael Jordan. This relationship represented more than just a romantic connection. It was a collision of basketball dynasties that forced the sports world to confront complicated legacies and unresolved tensions that had been simmering for decades. The relationship began in 2022, emerging at a time when both Larsa and Marcus were established in their respective identities, but still carrying the weight of their famous family connection. For Larsa, this represented another chapter in her post-divorce romantic journey. But for observers of NBA history, it was nothing short of seismic. The symbolic weight of this relationship cannot be overstated. Scotty Pippen and Michael Jordan, despite their legendary partnership that produced 6 NBA championships for the Chicago Bulls, had endured a complicated relationship marked by periods of tension and mutual respect. Jordan's dominance in the partnership had always been a source of some friction, and Pippen had been increasingly vocal about feeling undervalued and overshadowed by his more famous teammate. Marcus Jordan, as the son of the basketball icon, carried his unique burden of living up to an impossible legacy while carving out his own identity. Unlike his father, Marcus had not achieved basketball greatness, instead focusing on business ventures, including his trophy room brand. His relationship with Larsa represented his most high-profile romantic connection and thrust him into a level of media attention he had never previously experienced. The relationship's public debut created immediate controversy and fascination. They They were first spotted together in September 2022, and the images quickly went viral, not because of anything particularly scandalous about the photographs themselves, but because of what the pairing represented to basketball fans and celebrity watchers alike. One of the most memorable public moments of their relationship occurred when they attended a basketball game together in November 2022. The appearance became notable not just for their public display of coupledom, but for the reaction it generated from fans and media. Larsa reportedly faced heckling during the game, demonstrating that their relationship had struck a nerve with certain segments of the basketball community. The relationship also provided insight into the challenges of dating someone whose identity is so closely tied to a famous parent. Marcus had spent his entire life being defined as Michael Jordan's son, and his relationship with Larsa, herself famous primarily through her connection to an NBA legend, created a unique dynamic where both individuals were navigating relationships to basketball greatness rather than their achievements.
I obviously know Marcus's dad, but I haven't spent time with him since we've been together. We're basically based in Miami and LA.
The couple's relationship was characterized by its on-again, off-again nature. They experienced a brief split in February 2024, but reunited for Valentine's Day 2024, suggesting that whatever challenges they faced, there was a genuine connection that drew them back together, at least temporarily. Their Valentine's Day reunion was particularly significant because it demonstrated their commitment to making the relationship work despite external pressures and family complications. The public nature of their reconciliation also showed that they were willing to weather criticism and speculation about their compatibility. However, the relationship ultimately ended permanently in July 2024, bringing to a close one of the most symbolically significant romantic partnerships in recent celebrity history. The end of their relationship marked not just the conclusion of a personal connection, but the closing of a chapter that had temporarily united two basketball dynasties. What made this relationship particularly fascinating was how it forced both individuals to confront their identities independent of their famous family connections. For Larsa, dating Marcus meant being viewed not just as Scotty Pippen's ex-wife, but as someone whose romantic choices were being measured against NBA history itself. For Marcus, the relationship represented his most high-profile moment and forced him to step out of his father's shadow in an unprecedented way. Larsa's relationship with Marcus Jordan, charged with the weight of NBA legacies and public drama, gave way to a new chapter in 2025 with the next and last person on our list, Jeff Kobe. Jeff Kobe. As we enter 2025, Larsa Pippen's romantic journey has taken yet another turn with her relationship with Jeff Kobe, a former professional basketball player who represents both continuity and change in her dating patterns. This newest chapter in her romantic story demonstrates that despite years of public scrutiny and controversial relationships, Larsa remains committed to finding love within the basketball community that has defined her adult life. Jeff Kobe, described as a 31-year-old former professional basketball player, brings a different energy to Larsa's romantic narrative. Unlike some of her previous relationships that began amid controversy or complicated circumstances, the Kobe relationship appears to have emerged organically and with less dramatic baggage than her recent romantic entanglements. The relationship became public knowledge through reports from TMZ Sports confirming their exclusive dating status since the beginning of 2025, marking a fresh start for Larsa as she moves beyond the complicated legacy connections of her previous relationship with Marcus Jordan. What makes this relationship particularly significant is the timing and context. Coming after her high-profile breakup with Marcus Jordan and the intense scrutiny that relationship generated, Larsa's choice to continue pursuing romantic connections within the basketball world demonstrates remarkable consistency in her preferences, while also showing her resilience in the face of public criticism. The couple made their red carpet debut on April 16, 2025, at an event for The Accountant 2, marking a significant milestone in their relationship and signaling Larsa's confidence in this new romantic connection. Red carpet debuts are particularly meaningful for celebrities, as they represent a willingness to publicly associate with someone and face the inevitable media scrutiny that follows. The red carpet appearance was notable not just for what it represented about their relationship status, but for how it demonstrated Larsa's evolution as a public figure. After years of having her romantic choices analyzed and criticized, she appeared confident and comfortable presenting Kobe as her romantic partner to the entertainment industry and media. The age difference between Larsa and Kobe, with Larsa being in her late 40s and Kobe being 31, also adds an interesting dynamic to their relationship. This age gap reflects a pattern in Larsa's recent romantic choices, where she has often been involved with younger men who bring different perspectives and energy to her life. From a professional standpoint, Kobe's background as a former professional basketball player aligns perfectly with Larsa's established pattern of romantic preferences. However, unlike some of her previous relationships with active NBA players, dating a former player might provide more stability and fewer complicated scheduling conflicts that often challenge relationships with current athletes. The relationship also represents a potential fresh start for Larsa in terms of public perception. After the intense scrutiny surrounding her relationship with Marcus Jordan and the historical baggage that connection carried, her relationship with Kobe offers an opportunity to be viewed simply as a woman in love rather than as a participant in basketball dynasty drama. Early indications are that this relationship is being managed with more privacy and strategic public relations than some of her previous romantic connections. The timing of their red carpet debut and the measured approach to public appearances suggest that both Larsa and Kobe are being thoughtful about how they present their relationship to the world. As this relationship continues to develop, it will be interesting to observe whether it can avoid the pitfalls and controversies that have marked some of Larsa's previous romantic entanglements. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.